You're not live?
About to be.
What?
Good morning, comrades. It is, wow, I'm blurry. What is going on here? Where? It is Monday, the 15th of March, 2021. How is everybody doing today? It's Monday. It's not gonna lie, I'm a little dragging today just because of that daylight savings time. It just kind of like throws me off every time. You know, you lose the hour, you wake up in the morning, it's still dark. You kind of get this feeling that, you know, you've been robbed of an hour of sleep because you know what? You have been robbed of an hour of sleep. They took it away. They took it from you. They took an hour out of your weekend, folks. They took an hour out of your weekend. Is that better? Oh boy. Maybe I need lighting on my face better. I don't know, man. I don't know. What is wrong with you, camera? Stop judging me. How's everybody doing? What's up, G Wolf? I'm not awake yet either. I do have my covfefe that will get me rolling. But beyond that, I want to know where's my hour. Now, I did get my stimmy check. I got that just, I think it was on like Saturday. I got it like early on, which is good news. We can, survive now for at least a little while longer on this $1,400 that could be $1,000. God, what is the problem here? What is the problem, camera? Can we just do this for the whole time? I kind of like this angle. I get like 90% of my face. I look a little red though. That's not good. All right, let's put you back. Let's try it again. Don't make me, camera, don't make me do that again. All right, I think I'm fixed. So what's up with you, G Wolf? How's it going? How's the vibes? I know you're not awake yet. Please, try and pay attention in class for the rest of the day. If y'all have any stories, y'all can drop them to me in Discord. I have a couple for today. A couple fun ones, actually. Oh, I did want to get that. So I want to talk about Cuomo today. We haven't really talked about him a whole lot. But he's just like when you start to plumb the depths of like the horribleness of Andrew Cuomo, you never know how far down it's going to go. And we can get into that in just a little bit. Ben Shabibo is at it again. He is posting about how horny he is on Maine, about the Grammys and the WAP performance. That's going to be short and it's going to be fun, but he's just he can't. It's incredible how he just like can't help but post about how horny he is about Cardi B. We have a story about a Republican saying the quiet part, like shouting it into a microphone. We have that going on in Arizona legislature, and a little bit more. It's going to be a fun show today, as usual. I don't usually have my Monday morning zip, but I am. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work, folks. We're gonna make it work. Make it work. You can actually send me stories on Discord, which I will link to now. You can join our Discord. G Wolf's in there. Love to hear your stories. We'll take any stories and use them for the show, even if you have any. You can support us on. Excuse me. You can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/goodmorningcomrade as well. I did have a story from G Wolf that they sent me that I think we should probably touch on it as well. So let's throw that one in there in the old hopper. Noel Hopperino. What? There we go. All right. So, starting us off today, Andrew Cuomo. He is at it again, folks. Andrew Cuomo is at it again. He has been, he's gotten, early on in the pandemic, way too much credit for like handling COVID situation supposedly better than other governors. He became, like a hashtag resistance hero. People started calling themselves Cuomo-sexuals, which is one of the most cringe things I'd ever heard of in my entire life. But turns out, from the beginning, he was, he had, prior to COVID, Andrew Cuomo had cut medical services, public funding for medical services, and that kind of like created this billiard ball effect where when COVID hit, the hospitals in New York weren't prepared. This is review here. The hospitals weren't prepared, and many people who were having COVID symptoms were sent to nursing homes, and the nursing homes ended up becoming huge centers for for COVID activity. And then this was because of Andrew Cuomo's austerity policies. And then there was many deaths in these nursing homes, and Andrew Cuomo was a part of covering those up. In addition, he has been, I think it was about 7 women now, 6 or 7. I have to check the count. It's hard to keep up. 6 or 7 women have 6 or 7 women have stepped forward accusing Andrew Cuomo of sexual assault or sexual harassment, and based on the case. And now, well, before we get to that, Andrew, just this weekend, I know Andrew Ocasio-Cortez had long since called for an investigation and for Cuomo to step down. This weekend, both senators in New York have called for Andrew Cuomo to step down as well, which is actually a huge deal. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But now there's a report that Cuomo's vaccine czar called local officials to gauge loyalty. This is just like the absolute, peak of bullying behavior. Like, you're testing loyalty of local officials to, use that as a way to distribute the vaccine. So let's take a look at what we have here. An aide to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who is heading up the state's vaccine rollout, has called local officials to gauge their loyalty to the beleaguered governor, according to multiple reports on Sunday. So he's basically calling up localities to say, hey, what's your level of support for Andrew Cuomo? Larry Swartz, who has filled several supportive roles for the Cuomo administration over the years, has rattled local leaders across the state with his outreach, according to the New York Post and the Washington Post, and the New York Times, rather, not the Post. An unnerved Democratic county executive who received one of these calls filed a notice of an impending ethics complaint with the Public Integrity Unit of the State Attorney General office on Friday. The executive reportedly was concerned with the county's vaccine supply, that the vaccine supply would be affected if they did not express support for the governor. So essentially, this is like a shakedown. They say, you support Andrew Cuomo, don't you? You want vaccines, don't you? You support Andrew Cuomo, don't you? Like, it's you hate, like, it sounds ridiculous to say that this sounds like something out of a mafia movie or something like that, but it really truly does. Like, he just shaking down these locals and saying, oh yeah, make sure that you're supporting Andrew Cuomo, or maybe I could get you so many vaccines. Schwartz is unlisted to the state's COVID-19 response last year. He has been involved in the state's efforts to acquire medical equipment and supplies, and more recently, he has been serving as point of contact for the governor's office and localities to streamline the state's vaccine rollout. He has long been regarded as a mouthpiece for the administration in both formal and informal circumstances, including the kind of strongly worded phone calls that have characterized the governor and his staff members. Because he's known to be like this really, like, he's the kind of person that if you're not in line with Andrew Cuomo, then he will try and destroy you. He's a bully. He pushes people around, and it sounds cliche because everybody's saying it, but it feels very true that he has got like extremely Trump-like characteristics in that sense. So Andrew Cuomo, not good, folks, not good. Now, you would think that with all of these New York politicians specifically and people across the world with all of the baggage and damage that Andrew Cuomo has done, that, everybody would be telling him to step down. Not everybody. I mean, we do have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is New York City lawmaker. She's a representative from the Bronx. You have both state senators, Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand, actually. And we asked Joe Biden, or CNN apparently, or someone asked Joe Biden, and said he wants to see an investigation outcome when asked if Cuomo should resign. So let's take a look. We're gonna get an ad, aren't we? Oh, I hate this. I need an ad blocker or something. Yeah, G Wolf just wishes that everyone understands how bad Cuomo is so he can go away. I mean, I don't know if he's going away, honestly. Not anytime soon. The Democrats just always protect their golden geese or whatever. They have their favorites that they don't ever want to mess with, and then they have the others that they do.
Cuomo was riding a wave of popularity from his daily COVID briefings, but times have changed dramatically. Right now, the governor is clinging to power amid calls for his resignation, and President Biden has just weighed in. Athena Jones joins me live from Albany, New York. So, Athena, what's the president saying?
Hi, Pamela. Well, he weighed in. He's not joining, adding his voice to those calling for Governor Cuomo to step down now. Listen to what the president had to say just now.
Do you think Governor Andrew Cuomo should resign?
I think the investigation is underway and we should see what it brings us.
Now, those remarks from President Biden echoing or very similar to what we heard from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi saying, there are investigations going on. We should let those investigations play out. But Speaker Pelosi went on to say that the governor should essentially search his heart and ask himself whether he can lead effectively. And
that's hilarious. Andrew Cuomo should search his heart. That's incredible. Like the idea that this guy who has done everything he possibly could to advance his political career and destroyed every single person that he could that got in his way should search his heart as to whether or not he should step down is just hilarious to me. Absolutely hilarious. I don't know. I don't know if you're as tickled by that as I am, but I think that's very, very funny.
There are investigations going on. We should let those investigations play out. But Speaker Pelosi went on to say that the governor should essentially search his heart and ask himself whether he could lead effectively. And Pamela, look, the majority of the New York's congressional delegation is now calling on him to resign. That includes Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who on Friday afternoon put out a joint statement joining with the other members of Congress who believe that the governor should, for the sake of New York, step down, arguing that he's lost the confidence of the people of New York.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So Biden's not going to do anything about it. We knew that. He's not going to apply any pressure. He's not going to do anything to wield any influence. I mean, it's very, very obvious that Andrew Cuomo's got to go. And the fact that Democrats won't do that, they won't be a party to pressuring that is, I mean, it shows, I mean, it's Joe Biden being Joe Biden. Joe Biden being like the person that wants to sort of like finger in the air and, lead from behind. That's what it is, leading from behind. That's the old Obama thing. So there you go, folks. And Andrew Cuomo can just have a reign of terror in New York. Seriously, there's like no reason to support him, and the Biden administration, not like saying, I don't think it's making excuses for him, but it's just sort of not saying anything and not doing anything, which is not surprising, I suppose. Yeah, you don't normally care what Pelosi thinks, but that's fun. That's friggin' hilarious, man. That's so funny to me. I mean, the idea that like Andrew Cuomo, one of the most like blood and guts politicians in the world, like that's existed in my lifetime, is gonna just like search his heart and be like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be governor. Maybe I should. My heart's telling me I should step down. My heart is telling me that. I've done things wrong and I feel truly and genuinely bad for it. Oh dear. No, that is not Andrew Cuomo at all. In fact, over the weekend, he said that he wouldn't resign in a press conference. I believe that was on Friday, on a telephone press conference, no less, which is very odd. It's 2020. We have access to all kinds of technology that can get people out in person, or I'm sorry, video or whatever. A telephone, I don't know, weird. All right. So how's everybody doing today? How we doing? We vibing all right? I got a little vibe and music playing underneath today. Keep us nice and cool. Here is a story. This is an article from New York Magazine. Everybody shouldn't be voting, Republican blurts out. Well, you can file this one under the shouting the quiet part into a microphone for all to hear, I suppose. That's where you can sort of like think about this article or this thing. But here we go. Representative John Kavanaugh, a Republican legislator who chairs Amazon's Government and Elections Committee. This guy's in charge of a committee and is shepherding through a bill to make voting more cumbersome and therefore rare, described his party's motive with blundering candor. Quote, "There's a fundamental difference between Democrats and Republicans," he told CNN. "Democrats value as many people voting as possible voting, and they're willing to risk fraud. Republicans are more concerned about fraud, so we don't mind putting security measures in that won't let everybody vote. But everybody shouldn't be voting. Not everybody wants to vote. And if somebody is uninterested in voting, that probably means that they're totally uninformed on the issues. Quantity is important, but we have to look at the quality of votes as well." This is actually incredible to me. Like, I cannot think of anything that is more sort of fundamentally anti-democratic than just saying that actually, no, you shouldn't be able to vote if you don't aren't informed on the issues or whatever. You need to have quality votes, and those are low quality votes because it sort of makes I mean, again, it's anti-democratic from the sense that like in a democratic like structure or society or whatever, like regardless of how informed you are, you should be able to vote. The role of that, the government or whatever in a democratic society should be to inform as many of the people as possible. And the fact that this guy's more interested in actually let's just cut those people off and make sure that they don't vote is, like I said, it's shouting the loud but the quiet part and shouting it into a bullhorn. Kavanaugh's error was to articulate in public beliefs that conservatives prefer to leave them to members of their movement who aren't accountable to the electorate. If I had to guess, his argument is something he's picked up from reading conservative media, and he's never realized his role as elected official makes it unwise to repeat, especially on camera. Yeah, quiet part loud. I just like, I don't want to like read too much of Chait's editorializing. This is Jonathan Chait's article, and he's not my favorite writer, but this is kind of a good pick up on here by him. But yeah, this is and this guy is telling you whether or not you should or shouldn't be able to vote. And he probably thinks you shouldn't because you don't agree with him. Literally calling for disenfranchisement. Here's one. Here's a story from the Hill. Alabama Republicans are at it again, folks. They have currently passed a resolution acknowledging Donald Trump as one of the greatest presidents, which is incredible. I'm going to read the entirety of it, but let's just kind of read from the article first. The Alabama Republican Party will honor former President Trump for being, quote, one of the greatest and most effective presidents in the 245-year history of the Republic, Fox News reported. At a Saturday evening reception held in Mar-a-Lago, the party will present Trump with a framed resolution that grants him the honor. The resolution basically it just talks about the greatness of Donald J. Trump, how he made America great again, and how I hope other states will follow suit, said Perry Hooper Jr., a former state representative and member of the state party's executive committee, told Fox News. This is some dear leader stuff. Like, we're just talking about how great and wonderful you are, and we'll present to you in a framed in a frame, essentially. That's incredible. Members of the state's GOP unanimously voted for the resolution with claims that, quote, President Trump put American people and the American worker first in all of his decisions. Yeah, that's patently untrue. They literally did union busting across the country. They tried to destroy the post office. They even went after Scabby the Rat. They tried to attack Scabby the Rat, which is one of the most iconic figures in the labor movement in the history of the world ever. Members of the state's GOP, among Trump's accomplishments cited in the document were his success with Operation Warp Speed, where he basically decided, you know what, let's spend a bunch of money on developing this and then also not buy enough of of the vaccinations, amongst many other disasters. Yeah, great. That was a fantastic job. And also, wouldn't they have to acknowledge that COVID is real before in order to give him credit for Operation Warp Speed? His withdrawal from the job-killing Paris Climate Agreement, which had no impact on anything at all, and his appointment of 3 constitutionally conservative justices. Which, you know what, he did do that. He did appoint 3 absolute ghouls to the Supreme Court. So that is true. That did happen. It's just recognizing for the great things he has done for America, for bringing back American manufacturing, cutting taxes, creating the best economy ever. What? Building up our military, added Hooper, who also served as a 2016 Trump campaign's Alabama co-chairman, according to Fox News. The resolution also bashes President Biden, stated that, quote, President Trump accomplished more in 48 days than Biden did in 48 years as senator and vice president. The Alabama Republican Party did not immediately respond to the Hill's request for comment. Oh, my God. Let's see what the resolution says. Oh, my God. This is a lot of whereases. Is one of the greatest and most effective presidents in the 245-year history of the Republic, but President Trump put the American people It sucks that state governments have so much time to pass useless things while ignoring real problems. This isn't the state government. This is the Republican Party in Alabama. This is like purely a political, like, you know what it is? Honestly, this is so there is this sort of a narrative that the Republican Party is at like war with itself, and that it's the hogs versus the Lincoln Project losers. And I mean, this is sort of very, very clear signaling that like the hogs are in control in Alabama. And they're going to be in control in Alabama for some time. That's sort of my takeaway from this. Operation Warp Speed delivered safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines in record time, which is one of the most important feats in American medical history. He adopted the largest tax cuts and reforms. Yeah, he gave money to billionaires that never made its way to workers. Great. He enacted the largest tax cuts and reforms in American history by signing the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act into law, cutting $1.1 trillion over the next decade. Yeah, that screwed us so bad and gave so much money to millionaires and billionaires. He withdrew from the job and trade-killing Trans-Pacific Partnership. That's actually was kind of good. I mean, they didn't replace it with anything better. And NAFTA, replacing them with the new USMCA, which was not good. He stood up to China, bringing back manufacturing industry to the U.S. by increasing, quote, made in the USA production while securing access to new markets for America's farmers. Yeah. Yeah, right. The White Man's Club weekly statement that they still suck. President Trump withdrew from the job-killing Paris Climate Agreement. Yeah. The policies led to record low unemployment rates. Buddy, unemployment rates were not prior to the pandemic. Okay, yeah, sure. President Biden appointed 3 constitutional conservative justices to the U.S. Supreme Court, each of whom will serve and protect our country for decades to come, namely Justice Neil Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett, and also confirmed more than 220 federal judges. That's more of like a failing of all of those judges. The fact that like the Obama administration left those seats wide open and didn't do anything about it is like Trump gets to get credit for that. And like they've actually remade the judiciary, the judicial system in the U.S. for a generation. It's going to be a nightmare turning that around. President Trump built up and bolstered all of the U.S. military branches around the world and launched the U.S. Space Force. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, the Space Force. Trump's policies led to record low unemployment rates for all Americans, including African, Hispanic, and Asian Americans. Record low in a private pandemic. Yeah. Space Force. Trump, according to the GOP in Alabama, President Trump built and restored America's standing, strength, and leadership in the international community by withdrawing from shady Iran deal. Oh, yes. Getting us closer to a war with Iran is good. Moving the U.S. embassy to Israel. Yeah, that's a nightmare. And Joe Biden's not rolling that back because he's a loser. Initiating the Israel, United Arab Emirates, and other surrounding nations accord, providing more stability and commerce. Just essentially juicing the Middle East like a lemon. Great. I accomplished more in 48 months than Joe Biden did in 48 years. Space Force. Yeah, so that's it. And that's the sign of the people. These are the chuds that are in charge in Alabama. Incredible. So yeah. So what's going on with you, G Wolf? How you been? Anything? What's popping out there in Texas? What part of Texas you live in? Here's a story that G Wolf sent me a little bit ago. I'm finally getting to it. Sorry, it took a little while. We had a really busy week last week. We had a interview with Christine Kramer. You should probably go back and check it out. She is familiar with the Nevada Democratic Party, and we talked about essentially the takeover of the Nevada Democratic Party by essentially a progressive faction of that party, and the Democratic Socialists of America was involved, and everybody that was involved in the leadership of the Democratic Party prior to this takeover quit, and they took $450,000 and just essentially gave it to somebody running for Senate, who's not good. Permian Basin, oil country. Oh yeah, we're oil country here too, buddy. Oil country here too. I actually grew up like right by like a giant oil refinery, actually sandwiched in between two oil refineries. And actually one of them, when Hurricane Katrina hit, because we were just outside, we got 8 feet of water and we got a foot of oil from one of those refineries, which is just super dope in our house. All right. Texas florist, this is from G Wolf, who admitted to being in Pelosi's office once case moved from D.C. because of, quote, cancel culture. Oh, the woke mob is at it again. The woke mob, folks, is at it again. And this time, this florist from Texas wants her federal case moved because of the cancel culture. That's interesting. Let's read on. A high-profile defendant in the U.S. Capitol siege wants her case severed from a co-defendant she was charged with, and she also demands a change of venue, asserting she cannot get a fair trial in the liberal-heavy Washington, D.C. because of, quote, cancel culture. So she's getting canceled for invading the Capitol? Is that what's going on here? The defense for Texas florist Jenny Louise Cudd, who was on video happily admitting to being in the office of Nancy Pelosi, asserted authorities were creating the, quote, illusion of conspiracy between her and Aleel Rosa by linking their cases. Let's take a look. Let's see what it looks like. Let's look at the video. Let's see what she said. Let's see what it is. Let's judge for ourselves. This is it? Is this it? This is it. Where's the sound? Okay.
We did, as I say that. Vandalize anything. But we did. We did, as I say that. We did break down the Nancy Pelosi's office door, and somebody stole her gavel.
All right. Before we finish here, why are you on video admitting to crimes on the internet? You're literally saying you've stolen and destroyed property. Like, look, that's gonna look bad in court, Jenny Cudd. I'm sorry, but like, there's not a whole lot I can. I'm actually, I'm not looking for a defense necessarily, but like, I'm kind of like seeing which ones are available. And if you're just gonna admit to doing that on camera, on the internet, live while it's happening, not much you can do about that.
And took a picture sitting in the chair, flipping off the camera, and that was on Fox News. Patriots got down on the
Epic.
floor and were sitting in the House members and the senators' chair.
The funny thing about that is too, like, she is just talking about, like, this is how epic I am. This is how epic I've been. Like, this is all the epic stuff that I'm doing. And now she's complaining about getting canceled. Oh dear. Oh dear. There was another video on there. Let's see. Thank God they didn't get him in the Capitol building. Perhaps there are consequences when the president of the United States lies to millions. Blah, 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 blah. All right. Let's see what we got here. They came up with a catchy protest chant. Hang Mike Pence. There you go.
Historic day.
Okay, so that's what so I mean, I guess that didn't really, I mean, I imagine she was in that crowd. Okay. All right. So that is the context that we needed. And now she's complaining about being canceled? An illusion of a conspiracy between her and Alil Rosa by linking their cases. Quote, according to the governor's statement of facts, the two were seen on security footage walking into the building, walking around, and walking out, Attorney Marina Medvin said in a filing on Wednesday. There's no evidence of communications or a plan between the two to enter the Capitol. Instead, the evidence is purported to be that they were at the same place at the same time, followed a crowd into the open doors of the Capitol building, and then walked out. They didn't take anything. They didn't break anything. She was saying on the video that they took the gavel and they broke stuff. Cud was among rioters raiding the U.S. Capitol building on January 6th. After then, President Donald Trump continued to lie that he actually won the presidential election, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Here is the defense also wants a change of venue, asserting Cud could not get a fair trial because of cancel culture from the motion. So here's the motion. A modern day liberal DC. This is a legal filing, a legal document, folks. This is what they submitted to court as a reason to move this case. A modern day liberal DC jury that is readily swayed by the socio-political concept of social justice, in quotes, will be prejudiced against rendering a not guilty verdict for a defendant who actively supported a president that has been politically deemed, quote, racist, especially against a defendant who they believe has, quote, white privilege. Oh my God. The Democrats believe that, quote, in a racist society, it is not enough to be non-racist. We must be anti-racist, end quote. How would being actively, quote, anti-racist translate in a DC jury overseeing the case of a Capitol, quote, insurrectionist with, quote, white privilege who supports a, quote, racist president? A Washington, D.C. Democrat, Veneer is greatly prejudiced and socio-ethically compelled to, quote, cancel such a defendant by finding her guilty in the name of, quote, social justice, as stated previously. This case is political through and through. Incredible. Out of those prospective DC jurors, how many will disobey, quote, cancel culture and the social pressure to Ms. Cud for being politically incorrect? The defense motion stated. Oh no. The FBI says that the security camera footage puts Cud and Rosa together inside the Capitol building. For example, the two entered through West Upper Terrace door. They're seeing the rotunda. I don't believe the FBI. More from the motion. The purpose of the government's joinder of these cases is, one, to create an appearance of conspiracy or plan something with which they are not charged. 2, to bolster the illusion of a stronger case against each of the defendants through aggregation by creating where there's smoke, there's fire implication. And 3, readily admit evidence against them that would not be admissible against the individual defendants if they tried or were tried separately. For example, Mr. Rosa provided a statement to the agents. This statement would normally not, well, whatever. All right. There's the legal brief. Read all that stuff. But yeah, we need to move this case because of cancel culture. They're trying to cancel culture, folks. Yeah, I'll share the Discord link again. Would you mind sharing Discord link again? Last link you sent was in the chat, and I can't access it anymore. Sure, I'll link that. What's going on, Witch Hunt? How's your day going? Let me pull it up. I will admit that the Discord can use a little bit of sprucing up. We don't really have a whole lot of channels yet, but we will get them rolling soon enough. Boom, there you go. Link in the chat. All right. Well, enough of that. Let us move on. And if you have any stories, definitely send them in that Discord, by the way. I got us covered mostly for the rest of today, but always welcome anything. All right. Here's a wacky one. I have to pee. Maskless man urinated on airline flight in front of everyone after swatting attendant, says FBI. Now, again, this is the FBI talking, so take it with a huge grain of salt. But let's read. A man allegedly peed right in front of everybody during a plane flight last Tuesday, according to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Landon Perry Greer was charged Wednesday with a count of interference with flight crew members and attendants. According to the statement of facts, the problem started. According to the statement of facts, the problem started with the defendant not wearing a mask on a LAD Airlines flight from Seattle, Washington to Denver, Colorado. The attendant asked him about 8 to 10 times to put one on. He allegedly refused after apparently trying to sleep. He ignored her, then began to push and swat her hand away as she tried to gently tap his shoulder to get his attention. What is going on here? He made contact with her right forearm about 3 times, authorities said. He subsequently struck her arm 2 to 3 times in an attempt to aggressively dismiss her, authorities said. That's when things got a little colorful. Nature calls. It happens to the okay, but this is a lot of editorializing here. Like, that's a little cringe. You understand what you're getting at? From the complaint. Okay, good. Flight attendant KF then observed passenger Greer seated on in his seat with his penis out of his pants, and she told him to put his penis back in his pants. He responded, quote, I have to pee. Several of the passengers seated around passenger Greer were then reseated, and the captain was called to notify him what had happened. Your affiant also spoke with a female passenger. I don't know what affiant means. There's a lot of $5 vocabulary words today. Your affiant also spoke with a female passenger identified herein by the initials JC. She said the passenger Greer first got her attention when he swatted at the flight attendant when she asked him to put his mask on. She advised later he stood up, took out his penis, and began peeing with a wet paper bag she had with her. Yikes. Greer is blamed for delaying landing preparation for about 10 minutes On top of that, disruption allegedly occurred while the pilot had to deal with a, quote, maintenance issue as the plane descended over mountains in, quote, turbulent conditions. That sounds like those conditions are pretty turbulent, don't they? Prior to leaving Alaska, he had 1 beer, and then he had 3 to 4 beers in a, quote, quote, a couple of shots before boarding the plane in Seattle. He took an over-the-counter pain reliever because he had body aches from working. He said he fell asleep on the plane and awoke to being yelled at by the flight attendants who told him he was peeing. He stated that he had no recollection of hitting the flight attendant and didn't know if he was peeing. Huh. I mean, I would definitely say that, but if I had had multiple beers and shots and also pain medication, I don't know. That sounds like a lot going on there for this guy. Definitely not making an excuse for, not wearing a mask and then peeing all over the plane. But yikes. That's a big yikes story, folks. Your day is going well. That's good, Whit. My day is going pretty well. It's kind of like dreary here today. So there's like you can't see the sky. It's just like a huge overhang of clouds. So not my favorite kind of day, but we'll make it work. Also, I'm kind of a little hungover from the daylight savings time thing. I was complaining about that earlier on in the show. So, I think we have time for one more story. Look at this freak. Cat's just deciding to climb the wall, no big deal. Oh, Vatican. Oh, come on, Vatican. The Catholics. What are you doing, Catholics? All right, I'll do this. Jesus. Here we go. Remember the super dope, super cool, super woke Pope Francis? Well, maybe he's not as dope and as woke as you thought he was. Vatican says Catholic Church can't bless same-sex marriages. Come on, man. The formal response to a question on the topic that the church should, quote, welcome with respect and sensitivity with persons with homosexual implications. The Catholic Church can't bless same-sex unions, the Vatican said Monday, stating that it's, quote, not licit or illicit to bless relationships that involve sexual activity outside of marriage. The ruling was issued by the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith in response to a question on whether the church has the, quote, power to give the blessing to unions of persons of the same sex. The answer was, quote, negative, and further expanded on in an accompanying explanation that was published in 7 languages and approved by your boy, Pope Francis. It clarified that the church should, quote, welcome with respect and sensitivity persons with homosexual inclinations, but said that the presence in such relationships of positive elements, which are in themselves to be valued and appreciated, cannot justify these relationships and render them legitimate objects of an ecclesiastical blessing. So essentially, we'll tolerate you, but we're still sneering at you, and you kind of can't do the same stuff that we're doing. You're not really Catholic. The explanation also said that the ruling doesn't rule out blessings given to individuals with, quote, homosexual inclinations. It was not clear in the document published Monday who asked the original question. So, Catholic Church still not woke. However, the topic is timely, given that it's being discussed at the moment by Catholic clergy in the West, said Massimo Fagioli, a professor of religious studies at Villanova University. Was that anti-Italian discrimination that I just did? Was that anti-Italian discrimination? This is an important document because it shows how far Pope Francis is willing to go and where he wants to stop, said Fagioli. It is very difficult to imagine the practical consequences of the document, and I don't know what could happen to a priest that wants to bless a same-sex couple. Oh, they're gonna go rogue? They got rogue priests? Rogue Catholic priests? That's pretty cool. The ruling comes after a documentary released in October showed that Francis expressing support for same-sex civil unions. The Vatican later clarified that his comments were taken out of context, although it did confirm Francis's belief that gay couples should enjoy legal protections. So they can have legal protections on this earth, but you're still going to go to hell. Not good, folks. Not good. And I'm usually a Catholic defender on here. And now I'm put in a position where I have to be critical of the beautiful, perfect Catholic Church. I can't believe it. How could you do this to me? How can you do this to me? Another 500 years and they'll come around? Yeah, maybe G-Wolf. We'll see. We'll see about that. We'll see. I mean, they've been around. I mean, all right. So I think we're going to wind this down for today. Like I said, you can join the Discord. I'll post that link one more time. You can also support our show at patreon.com/Good Morning Comrade. Boom, there you go. Antifa, who in their right mind needs a church to bless their union anyway? Do you think the church's bless is legacy meta? Do you think the church's bless is legacy meta narrative BS? Churches won't bless me, haha, shit. I mean, like people believe that stuff though. I mean, it's influential and it moves the culture. I mean, it's a signal that's being sent to Catholics that will respond to it. And you know, there's how many million Catholics in America? I mean, this is just exactly what like fucking psychos like Rick Santorum are looking for, and they're gonna run a culture war campaign again, or what they always do. Just this isn't good. I mean, like, not good. All right. Patreon.com, Good Morning Comrade. You have the Discord up there. And now I'm going to see everybody over at the Above It All stream. Cyber Demon 531. Let me find a link real fast for that. There it is. I know many of y'all are already going there, but I like to make it easy. I mean, people just believe it. And like, look, I'm not like even like an anti-religious person. I just know that, I mean, I know that religion is not based off of logic, to be clear. And also like, it's got power and influence in the world, right? People believe that stuff and they hold on to it very, very strongly and very, very closely. And the fact that, you know, the Pope and this council of whatever is making this distinction, and it means that people will act on that as a justification, like a moral even justification for doing discrimination, and that's a problem. That's why this is bad, specifically. Like, I wish I could just say, well, the irrelevant church with their irrelevant fake sky god or whatever is just saying a bunch of bullshit that nobody believes. But the problem is people believe it and people act on it, and that's the problem to me. That's why I get, like, I think this is worth covering, and why I think it's bad news. Yeah. Like, I'm not trying to like, you're wrong, Antifa or whatever. It's just sort of like my take on the whole thing. But anyway, that's it for us today. I'll see y'all over at Above It All with Andrea. She should be getting started right about now. Eventually, Karma will unfortunately run over their dogma. I mean, I hope so. And I'm not even like a destroy all religions type. However, I do fundamentally understand that religions are not based on evidence. It's based on faith. Anyway, bye-bye.